Okay, so first, thanks Trish and the Food Policy Council for inviting us. This is really great to be able to say hi to everybody and let you know about us. And to thank you all. I know there's a lot of people in here who support us, especially Ian. Thank you. It's nice to be able to do that in public. Ian does a lot for the Fruit Tree Project. So we are a registered charity that started in 1999. We organize volunteers to pick unwanted backyard fruit, and we distribute it to community organizations who use it in their programming. And we call these organizations community partners because that's how we see it. It's a partnership. We feel strongly about food security, but we can't do it all. In the past we've tried and really burned out, and all that was left was me. And then Paul came in, thank God, and saved us. So we stick to what we do well. We pick fruit. And we're happy to provide fruit to our partners who are feeding the community. They're teaching nutrition and food preservation skills, bringing neighbors together out of isolation, and so on. And anyone can be a partner. If you want fruit, let us know. Well, don't call me. Well, okay, yeah, call me. That's fine. Yeah, we're not picky. That's what it's for. It's your neighborhood's fruit, so it should go to you. We try to give the fruit to the closest organization to where the pick is happening and make that connection between, hopefully, the homeowner and the neighbors who come to pick the fruit, our volunteers. Hopefully, in the end, we won't actually be necessary, and neighbors will find neighbors to help them, and they'll take it where it needs to go, and they'll just know. But until then, here we are. And so as far as resources, we have lots of volunteers, and they want to do lots besides pick fruit. So if you need bodies, let us know. We can put the word out there. We have the ladders and the picking poles. If you know of fruit that's going to waste, we'll come get it. Yeah, so that's us, I think. And, oh yes, we're having a screening of Queen of the Bees. What are they telling us? Queen of the Sun. What are the bees telling us? On Friday at the East Side Family Place upstairs, Canucks room. Come, it'll be fun. We'll have food. It's at Britannia, yeah. So I'm supposed to introduce Stephanie. Stephanie Lim coordinates community food programs at the Renfrew Collingwood Food Security Institute. The RCFSI uses a community development approach to foster residents' leadership skills, honor multicultural food traditions, and encourage sustainable, healthy eating. Initiatives include community gardens, community kitchens, food preservation workshops, urban agriculture workshops, hot meal programs, and native plant education. And they are recipients of Fruit Tree Project fruit. And anybody who wanted to talk later about Fruit Tree Project, I actually have to leave, but Erica, our coordinator's here. Erica, can you stand up, please? That's Erica there. And Athens, a board member, is here. Can you stand up to chat with any of those ladies afterwards? Okay, thanks. Stephanie.
Hey everybody, can you Excellent, all right. Last time I had to do this, it was for a bridesmaid speech and they were taking the dishes away, so it was a little bit of a different situation. So I see my fonts are not turning up today. This is Computer Learning Day in the nonprofit world. Professional tip for all of you guys out there, OpenOffice Impress is not compatible with PowerPoint, despite their grandiose claims that it is. So, I come to you from the Renfrew Collingwood Food Security Institute, and for those of you who don't know where Renfrew Collingwood is, here is a lovely map, courtesy Van Maps. Our population is about 49,000 people, which is sort of like the West End, but over a much larger area, and we have approximately 27% of the households in our neighborhood are living at or below the poverty line. That was 2006, so we'll have to see what happens with the census data this year to look at what the figures are currently like. And we have a growing number of senior residents, especially newcomer seniors who have come to Canada to take care of their grandchildren. So those are some of the demographics that we are working with among our neighbors. So the Renfrew Collingwood Food Security Institute works out of Collingwood Neighborhood House. Lots of people ask me, what is a neighborhood house and how is it different from a community center? A neighborhood house is a non-profit organization and it's a non-government organization. And that means that unlike a community center, we're not funded on an ongoing basis from any particular government source, although we may be funded by a government source for specific projects. So we use an integrated model, which means that all of the food security programs are worked into or connected with some of the other programs or departments at the neighborhood house. So, for example, you see here the Community Arts and Culture Department has some volunteers cleaning up a retaining wall right next to our community garden, making the place more beautiful and friendly. And then down below on the right, that's a glass tile mosaic that was made by about 85 volunteers, I believe. And it symbolizes the beauty of diversity in our neighborhood. So those are just some examples. When we talk about using food and a community development model, what does that actually mean? Community development is kind of like, rather than me as the coordinator going to a bunch of people and saying, this is what we're going to do today, and we're going to do it, it's kind of like asking people what they want to do and who wants to lead and who has the skills to lead. And if you don't want to lead and if you don't feel ready to do it, what do you need? And let's do it. So it can be kind of complicated, and sometimes it takes a long time for things to get off the ground. But at the same time, we really build capacity among our residents and neighbors to be able to take leadership and responsibility for their own community. For example, in the top left-hand corner, we see one of our seniors in the neighborhood is mentoring, that's Kevin on the right, around how to weed the garden. On the top right-hand side, we see one of our contractors, that's Jason, who's there at the back. Hey. He's running a community consultation with some of our neighbors talking about what we are going to make the orchard look like on Northway Street. And it could be as simple as on the bottom right-hand side. That's Emily. She's one of our volunteers, smiling. She hates this picture of herself. She'd kill me if she was here. But she speaks Spanish and she can bake bread. And so the Spanish-speaking mom said to me, we want a bread baking workshop and you don't speak Spanish. So what are you going to do about it? So I said, all right, Emily, you're on. And now your face is on this PowerPoint presentation. Okay. So leadership development and capacity building. People sometimes will ask me, what is your leadership development program? How does that work? And what I say to them usually is that our leadership development initiative / program, whatever you want to call it, is actually built into all of the different programs that we've got running. So that can take many different forms. If you look on the bottom right-hand side, guy in the middle with his arms up in the air, that's Rob. He's a professional carpenter who hates being a carpenter. He really wants to get into community development, but it's, I guess, a difficult field to get into. So we said, well, look, we've got to build this orchard, and we don't know how to do it, and we need the plans to be approved by city engineering, and we don't want them to cut off our lease. So would you help us out? So this is him, and he's teaching the group in the picture how to design things, how to build things, how to erect them safely so they don't crush anyone and get us sued. In the top left-hand corner, you see, I believe that's Emily and Chanel, and they are teaching each other how to build a garden bed. Improv time hasn't fallen apart yet, so that's good. And in the top right, that is Susan and Maggie, and neither of them has canned before, but Susan's not afraid of boiling water, and Maggie is, so they're working together. Next. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story really quickly to kind of illustrate a little bit what I'm talking about, integrated programs, community development, and so on. We had a mom in one of our English language courses. She had been in Canada for approximately a year, and her 10-year-old son had gained a lot of weight since coming to Canada. And so she confided in the teacher, and she said, look, my son is 10 years old, he weighs 110 pounds, and I don't know what to do about it. And so the teacher kind of probed her a little bit and said, okay, well, what's going on here? And it turned out that this little boy was going to school, and he was feeling very left out because all the other kids had these Canadian packed lunches. And he wanted to eat Canadian food like the other kids to fit in. And so mom, being a busy working mom and being new to Canada, didn't know anything about Canadian food. So she was going to McDonald's at the beginning of every week and buying 5 Happy Meals. So every day for her son's lunch, she was putting a McDonald's hamburger in it and sending him off to school. So he was happy, I guess, because he felt like he fit in, but he was gaining all this weight. It was terrible. So anyway, this is a mom who got referred to the Food Security Institute through our internal referrals integration kind of model. Here are a few of the options that could have been available to her. On the left, that's Hamide. She is one of the interns who came to us from Pacific Immigrant Resource Society, which is, some of you I'm sure know, an organization that helps immigrant women with professional experience and education from overseas to find volunteer and work experience in Canada. Top right, that's the Food Skills for Families program, which is a 6-week program that helps newcomers learn how to make healthy Canadian food. It is possible. That's a healthy pizza, I guess. The oven is huge. The oven is so intimidating to newcomers. Some of you may know that if you grew up in a household like me where your parents used the oven to store the wok. You probably definitely know that. So anyway, and then on the bottom right-hand side, here's a newcomer family. They had been in Canada for about 7 months when this picture was taken, and they just started kind of hanging out on the rooftop garden. And it was their family together time. And the kids are learning about healthy, fresh food. Two-way integration. All of our programs are not necessarily labeled as program for newcomers, most of them are program for low-income people. Our programs are kind of designed to bring people together from across different cultures and across different income levels. So in the top left and the bottom right, you see our 2 community gardens, and the top right and the bottom left, you see our community kitchens. And so the people in these photos and the people who come to our programs are from all walks of life, and they find they've got lots of stuff in common. And the boy in the story, he could have lots of options. There's gardening, small children, tiny carrots. There's watering the garden on the left-hand side. There's learning about what's an egg yolk there, and that's Kids Kitchen on the left-hand side, which has now been running for 6 years. So ultimately, what we do at the Food Security Institute is we use food as a tool to talk about all kinds of social issues, economic marginalization. We know that the people who are involved in our programs and our neighbors at the neighborhood house are marginalized in different ways, but we also know that they have all kinds of skills and knowledge and things to contribute to their community. And our job as community developers is to help people to realize their gifts and help everyone have a better living environment with lots of food for all. Thank you very much to everyone on this giant list and everyone on that slightly smaller list who has contributed pictures to this PowerPoint presentation. And thank you all for being here.